What if I told you that some of Hollywood's brightest golden age stars, those smiling faces you once adored on screen, were actually despised behind the scenes? Beneath the charm, the glitz, and the perfectly staged smiles, many of these icons carried reputations darker than their most villainous roles. They were the stars everyone loved to hate, arrogant, cruel, or downright impossible to work with, and their off-screen behavior shocked even their closest co-stars. Here are 20 legends whose fame couldn't protect them from being hated by almost everyone around them. 20. Bing Crosby. To the public, Bing Crosby was the warm voice of Christmas and the picture of family values. But behind that calm smile was a man his own children described as cruel and cold. His discipline at home reportedly bordered on abusive, leaving deep scars that would later spill into public view. Hollywood adored his clean image, but those who worked closely with him whispered about his arrogance and emotional distance. He controlled every detail of his career, often cutting down anyone who dared challenge him. For fans, it was hard to believe that the man singing White Christmas could be so heartless in real life. By the time the truth began to surface, the world saw Crosby not as the gentle father figure they once loved, but as one of the most disliked legends of his era. 19. Mae West. Mae West shocked audiences with her bold jokes and unashamed confidence. In an era when women were expected to be modest, she strutted through Hollywood like she owned it. Her witty one-liners and sultry persona made her a box office sensation, but also a moral nightmare for conservative America. Censors banned her films, religious groups protested her shows, and studio executives called her impossible to control. Yet, she never apologized for being herself. Behind the glamour, she fought censorship, lawsuits, and endless attempts to silence her. What made Mae West hated wasn't her attitude, it was her refusal to bow down to the men who ran Hollywood. Her power scared them, and that fear turned into resentment, cementing her as one of the most controversial and despised yet unforgettable icons of the Golden Age. 18. Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock revolutionized suspense, but his brilliance came at a cost of cruelty. Behind the camera, he saw actors as pawns, objects to be moved, not people to be respected. His obsession with control went far beyond direction. He humiliated actresses publicly and reportedly tormented Tippi Hedren during the filming of The Birds. Crew members feared his unpredictable temper and dark sense of humor, while others quietly endured his manipulative games. Hitchcock demanded absolute loyalty, yet offered little kindness in return. Even as his films earned awards and admiration, his behavior left a trail of bitterness across every set he touched. To audiences, he was the master of suspense, but to many who worked for him, he was the master of fear. His unmatched genius and icy detachment made him both admired and despised, proof that brilliance sometimes hides a cruel heart. 17. James Dean. James Dean became the face of rebellion, but behind that legend was a young man who didn't play by Hollywood's rules. Directors loved his raw talent, but hated his unpredictable moods and quiet defiance. He refused to follow cues, ignored advice, and often made co-stars uncomfortable with his intense method acting. Dean didn't want fame, he wanted authenticity, and that made him a problem for the industry built on image. Off-screen, his reckless attitude only added to his reputation as difficult. He sped through life literally and emotionally, burning bridges almost as fast as he built them. While fans saw a tortured artist, insiders saw a self-absorbed kid who thought he was too special for the system. His death froze him in time as a legend, but during his short life, James Dean was as hated in Hollywood circles as he was adored by audiences. 16. Lana Turner. Lana Turner's beauty was her weapon, and she knew how to use it. Men adored her, women envied her, and Hollywood both celebrated and condemned her. Her love affairs made more headlines than her movies, and the scandals that followed painted her as trouble. When her teenage daughter killed Turner's abusive boyfriend, the tabloids exploded, turning her into a living scandal. Yet even before that, her reputation for being manipulative and self-centered earned her few friends in the industry. Directors said she showed up late, co-stars complained about her attitude, and studios labeled her difficult. Lana thrived on drama, both on and off screen, blurring the line between performance and reality. The more she tried to control her image, the more people seemed to resent her. Hollywood may have built her up as a goddess, but it also loved tearing her down. 15. Orson Welles. Orson Welles changed cinema forever with Citizen Kane, but his ego was bigger than his success. He was hailed as a prodigy at just 25, and from that moment, he treated Hollywood like it was beneath him. Welles dismissed studio heads, insulted other directors, and refused to compromise on his vision. He saw himself as an artist among businessmen and made sure everyone knew it. Crews often described him as condescending and impossible to please. His arrogance burned bridges across the industry, and soon no one wanted to work with him. Even as his talent remained undeniable, his attitude turned allies into enemies. By the time he realized he needed the system he despised, it had already shut him out. Welles's downfall wasn't caused by a lack of talent, it was caused by the hatred he inspired in everyone who once believed in him. 14. Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly's beauty seemed untouchable, but that same perfection made her seem distant. On screen, she played elegant, calm women who never lost control off-screen. She carried the same icy composure. Co-stars often said she was polite but unreachable, and some accused her of acting superior. Her secret affairs with married men didn't help her image either. When she suddenly left Hollywood to become a princess, it looked like she was abandoning the very world that made her famous. Some called her graceful, others called her cold and calculating. Even her royal life drew whispers of arrogance and disconnection. Grace Kelly had everything: talent, beauty, and a fairy tale ending, but the warmth that wins hearts was always missing. To many in Hollywood, she wasn't the dream girl. She was the woman who made everyone else feel small. 13. Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball made millions laugh, but behind that bright smile was a woman feared by those who worked for her. As the powerhouse behind I Love Lucy and later Desilu Productions, she wasn't just a star, she was the boss. And being the boss in the 1,950 seconds meant fighting tooth and nail to stay on top. Ball demanded perfection, yelling at writers, firing crew members, and controlling every joke that aired. Co-stars often said working with her was like walking on eggshells. She was funny on screen, but off it, she ruled with iron precision. Even her husband, Desi Arnaz, wasn't spared from her temper. Hollywood respected her brilliance, but resented her dominance. Lucille Ball shattered barriers for women in comedy, yet her toughness made her one of the most loved and most hated figures of television's golden years. 12. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra could melt hearts with a song, but his dark side scared even his friends. He was known for his temper, his jealousy, and his rumored mob connections that no one dared question. In the studio, he was unpredictable, one moment charming, the next explosive. Directors avoided confrontation because their anger could ruin careers. Sinatra held grudges like trophies, and crossing him meant being blacklisted in more ways than one. Behind the scenes, he lived a life of excess gambling, drinking, and womanizing while pretending to be the gentleman crooner the world adored. For fans, he was the perfect entertainer. But for those who knew him personally, he was a storm waiting to happen. His powerful friends protected him, but his enemies never forgot him. Sinatra's fame shone bright, yet the shadows he cast made him one of Hollywood's most feared legends. 11. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor embodied glamour, but her personal life was pure drama. With 8 marriages and countless affairs, she became a headline machine. The public couldn't look away from her beauty or her scandals. She stole husbands, clashed with studios, and demanded luxury wherever she went. Taylor's fiery temper made directors tread carefully, while her confidence intimidated rivals. Some admired her independence, others called her selfish and manipulative. Yet beneath the diamonds and scandals was a woman who craved love more than fame. Even so, her reputation as Hollywood's ultimate diva followed her everywhere. Co-stars avoided crossing her, and tabloids painted her as the woman who could destroy any man's life with a single look. Elizabeth Taylor was adored by millions, but to those who couldn't handle her power, she was the embodiment of everything they hated about Hollywood excess. 10. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando changed acting forever, but he also made enemies everywhere he went. He hated authority, ignored direction, and often refused to memorize his lines. On set, his arrogance tested everyone's patience. Some saw him as an artist. Others saw him as a spoiled genius who believed he was untouchable. Brando would argue with directors, insult co-stars, and sabotage takes just to prove a point. His brilliance made him indispensable, but his attitude made him unbearable. Even when his career began to fade, he refused to play by anyone's rules. He mocked the fame that made him rich and rejected the industry that built him. Hollywood couldn't decide whether to worship him or wish he'd disappear. Marlon Brando may have been the face of rebellion, but his defiance turned admiration into pure resentment. 9. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner's beauty was legendary, but her wild spirit scared almost everyone around her. She drank hard, fought harder, and spoke her mind, no matter who she offended. Her fiery temper became infamous across Hollywood, leaving directors and lovers alike exhausted. Her stormy marriage to Frank Sinatra only added fuel to the gossip, painting her as both seductive and volatile. Studios called her uncontrollable, yet her charisma made her impossible to ignore. Ava lived fast, loved fiercely, and didn't care what anyone thought of her. But that attitude came with a price. Behind her glamorous image was a woman at war with fame, love, and herself. She didn't want to play by Hollywood's rules, and that defiance earned her as many enemies as admirers. Ava Gardner wasn't just hated for her behavior, she was feared for being unapologetically real. 8. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart built his career on playing hard-edged men, and off-screen, he wasn't much different. He was brutally honest, often to the point of cruelty, and never cared about pleasing anyone. While fans saw him as the definition of cool, his colleagues found him stubborn and confrontational. Bogart drank heavily, argued with directors, and called out co-stars when he thought they were fake or untalented. He hated Hollywood's phoniness and didn't hide his disgust for its power games. His blunt attitude earned him respect, but also isolation. Some admired his integrity. Others said he was impossible to deal with. Even his close friends admitted he could be moody and mean when drunk. Bogart's authenticity made him a legend, but it also made him one of the most disliked men behind the camera. He never cared, he preferred being hated for honesty over loved for lies. 7. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn didn't just act like a strong woman, she was one. But in an era when actresses were expected to be obedient and charming, her independence was treated like arrogance. She wore trousers, spoke her mind, and refused to play the Hollywood darling. That attitude made her a target for critics and co-stars who saw her as cold and superior. She rejected gossip, skipped parties, and lived on her own terms, which many mistook for snobbery. Studio heads found her defiant, and for a time, audiences did too. Yet Hepburn refused to change for anyone. Her confidence, once seen as an insult to tradition, became her defining power. The industry may have hated her at first, but eventually it bowed to her strength. In a town built on charm and conformity, Katharine Hepburn stood firm, and that's what made her both hated and unforgettable. 6. Judy Garland. Judy Garland's voice could melt hearts, but behind her smile was a life of control and pain. From childhood, studios treated her like property, forcing her to work grueling hours and feeding her pills to stay thin and awake. As she grew older, that same system turned on her. She missed rehearsals, showed up late, and lashed out at anyone who reminded her of her past. Co-stars grew frustrated, directors gave up, and Hollywood labeled her unreliable. But Judy wasn't lazy, she was broken. The pressure to stay perfect destroyed her confidence, and her addictions made her easy to blame. Still, when she sang, the world forgave her. Those who hated her for being difficult never understood that she was a survivor in an industry that chewed people up for profit. Judy Garland wasn't just a star, she was proof that even the brightest light can burn too fast. 5. Clark Gable. Clark Gable was called the King of Hollywood, but behind the charm was a man who didn't always deserve his crown. He had the looks, the charisma, and the confidence that made women swoon, yet those close to him saw another side. Gable was known for mocking co-stars, bullying crew members, and using his power to get what he wanted. His affairs were legendary, but his emotional distance left many hurt and humiliated. On set, he could be dismissive, especially toward younger actors who threatened his spotlight. While audiences adored his suave demeanor, insiders whispered about his arrogance and temper. Gable played heroes on screen, but off-screen, he lived like a man untouchable by consequence. In the glamorous world that worshipped him, Clark Gable's ego made him both admired and secretly despised by the very people who helped build his fame. 4. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was the ultimate fantasy, soft-spoken, beautiful, and endlessly photographed. But behind that fragile image was a woman fighting for control of her own life. Studios treated her like a doll, using her charm for profit while mocking her intelligence. Frustrated and lonely, she began showing up late, clashing with directors, and defying the very system that made her famous. Co-stars complained about her unprofessional behavior, calling her difficult, while the press painted her as unstable. Yet much of that chaos came from exhaustion and exploitation. Marilyn wasn't the dumb blonde they wrote her to be. She was a woman desperate to be taken seriously. Hollywood adored her image but despised her demands for respect. Her downfall wasn't caused by fame alone. It was caused by an industry that hated her for refusing to stay silent. She became their creation, and ultimately, their victim. 3. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was the ultimate swashbuckling hero on screen, but in real life, his behavior was anything but heroic. Behind the charm and the grin, he lived a life of reckless excess. He drank heavily, bragged endlessly, and surrounded himself with trouble. Hollywood loved his charisma, but hated cleaning up his messes. In the early 1940s, he was dragged into a shocking court scandal that nearly ended his career. Yet somehow, he still managed to turn infamy into fame. Flynn's arrogance knew no bounds. He mocked authority, disrespected women, and flaunted his bad boy image like a trophy. For many in Hollywood, he wasn't just a star, he was a walking headache. His downfall came not from lack of talent, but from his inability to stop self-destructing. Errol Flynn's name became a symbol of charm gone wrong, proof that even legends can destroy themselves with their own ego. 2. Bette Davis. Bette Davis was fierce, brilliant, and terrifying. Her piercing eyes and fiery voice made her unforgettable on screen, but her attitude off it divided Hollywood. She demanded perfection, argued with directors, and didn't care who she offended. Davis was known to call out incompetence directly to people's faces, making her both respected and feared. Her legendary feud with Joan Crawford only added to her reputation as a troublemaker. Yet, deep down, her intensity came from passion. She loved the craft more than the politics. But in an industry ruled by men, her honesty was treated as hostility. She didn't play nice, and she didn't apologize for it. While others relied on charm, Bette relied on power. Her enemies called her impossible. Her fans called her brave. Either way, she stood tall as one of the most talented and most hated women Hollywood ever produced. 1. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford built her empire on discipline, beauty, and sheer determination, but that perfection came at a cost. Behind her polished smile was a woman obsessed with control over her image, her co-stars, and even her family. She ruled movie sets like a monarch, expecting absolute obedience. Those who defied her faced humiliation or sabotage. Her rivalry with Bette Davis became legend, filled with insults, manipulation, and icy revenge. Off-screen, stories of her cruelty toward her adopted children turned her into one of the most despised figures in Hollywood lore. Yet Crawford's ambition was unmatched. She came from poverty and clawed her way to the top, refusing to fade quietly. Hollywood admired her strength, but feared her wrath. Joan Crawford wasn't just another star. She was the embodiment of everything glamorous, terrifying, and hateful about the Golden Age. So there you have it, 20 icons who ruled Hollywood's brightest era, but left behind some of its darkest stories. They had power, beauty, and fame beyond imagination. Yet behind the glitz were rivalries, scandals, and secrets that still haunt their names today. Was being loved by millions ever worth being hated by the ones who truly knew them? If you love diving into the real messy truth behind old Hollywood's glamour, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories of fame, betrayal, and everything the silver screen tried to hide.
Number 25. Tom Cruise's secret stunt ritual. Every time Tom Cruise leaps off a skyscraper or clings to the side of a plane, he's hiding something under his suit, a G-string thong. Cruise swears by this bizarre undergarment for comfort during his most dangerous stunts, a secret he kept for years, only admitting it after persistent rumors. The revelation came after a costume designer accidentally mentioned it in an interview. Cruise later confirmed the practice started during Mission Impossible 2. The specialized garment prevents chafing during intense action scenes. Stunt coordinators noticed his improved performance when wearing it. Now, several stunt performers have adopted the same unusual practice. Cruise reportedly owns dozens of these custom-made items. Number 24. Marlon Brando's cue card addiction. Marlon Brando, widely considered one of the greatest actors ever, had a dark secret on set. He couldn't or wouldn't memorize his lines. During iconic roles like The Godfather, Brando insisted on cue cards scattered around the set, sometimes hidden in bizarre places like plants, or even on babies used in scenes. The cards became a running joke, with multiple takes needed to hide their presence, much to the frustration of his co-stars and directors. Despite the extra production costs, Brando's genius was undeniable, and directors tolerated his disinterest in professionalism. Francis Ford Coppola even nearly fired him for it. Yet Brando's insistence on using cue cards wasn't about laziness. It was about keeping his spontaneity alive. Number 23. Joan Crawford's lost adult film. Joan Crawford was rumored to have starred in a pornographic film before her stardom. The studios allegedly paid hush money to keep it hidden, but whispers continued. Crawford lived in fear of exposure, though she denied it until her death. Was the film real or just a blackmail myth? Either way, it haunted her career, fueling her obsession with perfection. Number 22. Jean Harlow's forced marriage. Jean Harlow was forced into a brief, loveless marriage to cinematographer Harold Rawson, arranged by MGM to protect her image. The marriage, meant to cover up rumors about her late husband's suicide, lasted just 8 months. Harlow never experienced real love. Her personal life was controlled by the studio. Could her tragic, controlled life have shaped her longing for genuine affection? Number 21. Tallulah Bankhead's secret abortions. Tallulah Bankhead secretly underwent multiple abortions, a scandal that could have destroyed her career. The procedures were hidden, with medical records altered and staff bribed for silence. Bankhead's traumatic experiences led to depression and self-medication through alcohol. Her autobiography omitted these painful secrets, but her infamous quote, "I'm as pure as the driven slush," concealed the emotional scars from her past. Number 20. Patricia Douglas's assault cover-up. At just 17, Patricia Douglas was raped at an MGM party disguised as a casting call. The studio silenced her using threats, bribed witnesses, and destroyed medical evidence. Her name was blacklisted, and the press ignored the case. MGM even hired private investigators to ruin her reputation. She spent her life in obscurity until decades later, a documentary finally exposed the truth. But how many other victims were buried by Hollywood's golden silence? Number 19. Errol Flynn's disturbing reputation. Errol Flynn's career was tainted by multiple allegations of inappropriate relationships, including statutory rape. In 1942, Flynn faced trial but was defended by top attorneys hired by Warner Brothers. The studio covered up his misdeeds, intimidating witnesses and spreading false stories. Despite the evidence, Flynn was acquitted, and his career continued unscathed. His infamous "in like Flynn" phrase referred to his ability to escape scandal, but behind the public image, many former co-stars spoke of uncomfortable experiences with him on set. Number 18. Judy Garland's forced drug use. Judy Garland, forced by MGM to take dangerous drugs, struggled with addiction throughout her career. As a teenager, she was given amphetamines to control her weight and barbiturates to sleep. Studio executives monitored her meals and weight, pushing her to work grueling 18-hour days. Garland was threatened with contract termination if she refused the pills. By age 21, she was hooked. MGM labeled her emotional, never acknowledging the toll the drugs took. Her tragic downfall was a direct result of the studio's exploitation of her health. Number 17. George Raft's real-life gangster ties. George Raft didn't just play gangsters, he knew them. Growing up with mobsters like Bugsy Siegel and Lucky Luciano, Raft used those ties to land roles and dodge legal trouble. The FBI tracked him for years. Mob friends financed his films and helped him avoid tax charges. He even turned down roles where gangsters died on mob advice. Studios eventually distanced themselves, fearing scandal. Once a top star, Raft's career faded fast, and he died nearly penniless. Number 16. Alfred Hitchcock's stalking. Alfred Hitchcock's obsession with Tippi Hedren crossed the line. He stalked her, demanded sexual favors, and had a secret door built to her dressing room. When she refused him, he punished her on set, throwing live birds at her during filming. Hedren was trapped in a contract she couldn't break. After complaining, she was blacklisted. Though others stayed silent, Hedren later exposed his abuse. Her career never recovered, while Hitchcock's reputation remained protected for decades. Number 15. Robert Mitchum's drug bust. In 1948, Robert Mitchum was busted for marijuana in a police sting. RKO scrambled to save him, hiring top lawyers and PR teams. He served 60 days, but came back stronger, with studios crafting a redemption arc. The scandal weirdly boosted his image among young fans. Mitchum later joked it helped his career more than any role. His next film was even named Rachel and the Stranger, to suggest a fresh start. Behind closed doors, he always believed it was a setup. Number 14. Fatty Arbuckle's murder trial. Silent film star Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was accused of the rape and manslaughter of actress Virginia Rappe. Despite being acquitted, his career was destroyed by the scandal and relentless press coverage. Arbuckle was arrested after a wild party in San Francisco's St. Francis Hotel. Newspapers published completely fabricated details about the incident. Studio support vanished overnight, despite his innocence. All his unreleased films were shelved. Movie theaters were threatened with boycotts if they showed his work. Arbuckle was acquitted after 3 trials, with the jury even issuing a formal apology. The damage was irreparable despite his legal victory. His name became synonymous with Hollywood excess. The scandal led directly to the creation of the Hays Code censorship rules. Arbuckle died broke and forgotten. His case established the pattern of trial by media that continues today. Number 13. Lana Turner's mobster lover murder. Lana Turner's 14-year-old daughter killed Turner's abusive mobster boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato, in what was ruled self-defense. The studios orchestrated a massive cover-up to protect Turner's image. Studio lawyers coached Turner's daughter before police interviews. MGM executives bribed journalists to minimize coverage. The daughter claimed she was protecting her mother from an attack. Evidence suggested Turner may have done the stabbing herself. Studio fixers removed evidence from the crime scene before police arrived. Turner's career benefited from the publicity. Her next film, Imitation of Life, became her biggest hit. The incident was the inspiration for several films, including Peyton Place. Stompanato had mob connections through Mickey Cohen, creating additional dangers. Turner's daughter, Cheryl, later suffered severe psychological trauma. Turner's autobiography carefully constructed an alternative narrative approved by studio lawyers. Number 12. Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford's secret affair. During the filming of Star Wars, 19-year-old Carrie Fisher had a secret affair with the married Harrison Ford. The truth only emerged decades later, shocking fans and Ford's family alike. Ford was 33 and married with 2 children during their 3-month relationship. The affair happened during the original Star Wars filming in London. Cast members suspected but maintained silence. Fisher kept the secret for 40 years before revealing it in her memoir. Ford reportedly asked her not to publish the details. Fisher described herself as inexperienced, while Ford was experienced. The power imbalance between them troubled Fisher later in life. Their on-screen chemistry in subsequent films took on new meaning after the revelation. Ford refused to comment when the story broke. Fisher claimed they never spoke of the affair again after filming ended. Several other cast relationships were kept similarly secret. Number 11. Marlon Brando's Mafia Connections. Marlon Brando didn't just play dangerous men on screen. Rumors say he may have known a few off-screen too. While preparing for The Godfather, Brando reportedly formed ties with real-life mobsters. Some say those connections didn't end when filming wrapped. Stories whispered through Hollywood claim producers backed down after quiet visits from Brando's friends. Financing for his riskier films, it sometimes came from murky, untraceable sources. His outbursts on set were tolerated, not because of talent alone, but because no one wanted to cross him. Brando never confirmed any of it, but the fear in some directors' eyes, that spoke volumes. So were those iconic roles truly earned or enforced? Number 10. Joan Crawford's Blackmail Nightmare. Joan Crawford, the glamorous perfectionist, lived under a shadow she never escaped. According to insiders, she was blackmailed for decades over a secret adult film she made before stardom. Her brother allegedly discovered it and demanded hush money for years. She even used fake charities to hide the payments. Some studio executives also knew and leveraged it for favors, keeping her under their thumb. Crawford's obsession with cleanliness, control, and appearance. It was said to be rooted in shame. Even her children were unaware of the blackmail that haunted her life. Number 9. Judy Garland's studio exploitation. Judy Garland's smile lit up the screen, but behind it was a life torn apart by studio control. MGM started her on pills as a teen to make her thinner, more energetic, more marketable. She wasn't allowed to eat without permission. Every step, every calorie, every relationship was orchestrated. Even her mother sided with the studio. Garland worked 20-hour days while being told she wasn't pretty enough. Her earnings barely touched them. The pressure crushed her spirit. She later said she could still hear Louis B. Mayer's voice telling her she was worthless. Number 8. Clark Gable's secret love child. Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood, had a secret so well hidden that it didn't come to light until after his death. While filming The Call of the Wild, Gable and co-star Loretta Young had an affair. When she became pregnant, panic set in. She vanished to Europe, had the child in secret, and then adopted her daughter back from an orphanage. The baby, Judy, had Gable's unmistakable features. Studio heads helped cover it up, and Gable never acknowledged her. The truth was buried for decades, until DNA confirmed it years later. Was it love, or just another casualty of Hollywood's obsession with image? Number 7. Steve McQueen, the king of cool's explosive temper. He was the ultimate tough guy on screen, but off camera, Steve McQueen battled demons that fame only made worse. Known for his violent temper, McQueen's drug use and womanizing spiraled in the 70s. He got into bar fights, crashed cars recklessly, and even pulled a gun on a man during an argument. His marriages fell apart one after another, and yet fans only saw the charming rebel on screen. How did a man so out of control stay Hollywood's favorite bad boy for so long? Number 6. Richard Burton's mysterious love letter. Richard Burton wasn't just an acting legend. He was a walking scandal magnet. His fiery on-again, off-again romance with Elizabeth Taylor had the press spinning for decades. But just days before his sudden death in 1984, Burton sent Taylor a handwritten letter that she kept sealed for the rest of her life. The contents? Still a mystery. Some believe it was a confession of eternal love. Others say it revealed a long-buried secret. Taylor called it the most beautiful thing he ever wrote her. Number 5. Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr., A Forbidden Love. In the late 1950s, Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. dared to fall in love. But in an era when interracial relationships were taboo and deadly, their romance was seen as a direct threat to the studio's image. Columbia Pictures president reportedly called in mafia contacts to deliver a chilling warning to Davis: "End it, or your family won't be safe." Terrified, Davis caved to the pressure, even marrying another woman days later to squash the rumors. Number 4. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn's 27-year affair. For nearly 3 decades, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn were Hollywood's most whispered about couple. He was a devout Catholic, married but estranged, and refused to divorce his wife. Hepburn accepted the hidden role of the other woman, living in the shadows while Tracy stayed in hotels to avoid scandal. They never appeared publicly as a couple, yet their bond was undeniable. When Tracy died, Hepburn didn't attend the funeral out of respect for his wife. How did a love so deep survive in silence for nearly 30 years? Number 3. Ingrid Bergman's hidden passion. Ingrid Bergman was the queen of grace on screen, but behind the scenes she had secrets that stayed buried for decades. It wasn't until 5 years after her death that Gregory Peck dropped a bombshell in an interview. They'd had a secret affair during the filming of Spellbound in the 1940s. The two were married to others, and the affair was carefully hidden under the glamour of the Golden Age. Number 2. The tragedy of Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood's drowning in 1981 still sends shivers down Hollywood's spine. She was found floating near Catalina Island after a night on a yacht with her husband Robert Wagner and actor Christopher Walken. The cause? Accidental drowning. But the details never quite added up. There were bruises, conflicting stories, silence from the only other 2 witnesses. Years later, the case was reopened, and Wagner was named a person of interest.
Number 1. The ruthless blackmail of Clara Bow.
Clara Bow was the original it girl, capturing hearts in the roaring 20s with her wild charm. But behind her fame was a personal nightmare. Her secretary stole private letters and attempted to blackmail her, unleashing a firestorm of rumors, orgies, affairs, and supposed drug use. The media had a field day, painting Clara as unstable and immoral. She was dragged through court and the press, and though she won the case, her reputation never fully recovered. And there you have it, some of the most jaw-dropping scandals and hidden truths from Hollywood's most iconic action stars. Who knew these legends were hiding such shocking secrets, right? But don't stop here. There's so much more to uncover about the hidden side of Hollywood's golden era. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more shocking revelations. And hey, drop a comment. What's the most surprising scandal you've heard about? We want to know your thoughts. Stay tuned for more untold stories from the world of old Hollywood. David Carradine's final scene. David Carradine became famous for playing a peaceful monk in Kung Fu. He seemed calm and spiritual. His fans thought they knew him. They were wrong. In 2009, maids at a Bangkok hotel made a shocking discovery. They found Carradine's body in a closet. He was naked. Ropes tied his hands above his head. A cord wrapped around his neck and other body parts. The police called it an accident. The medical examiner blamed autoerotic asphyxiation. This sexual practice cuts off oxygen for pleasure. It kills hundreds each year. His family couldn't accept this truth. They hired private investigators. They suggested murder, but the evidence didn't support their claims. Carradine's ex-wives later revealed he had always been in bondage. He liked dangerous bedroom games. His third wife, Marina Anderson, wrote a book about his dark side. She detailed his obsession with self-pleasure and risky behaviors. His death shocked Hollywood. The man who played wise characters on screen died from a secret addiction. His final scene was not in a movie. It happened alone in a hotel room. Bob Crane, America's smiling pervert. Bob Crane made America laugh as Colonel Hogan in Hogan's Heroes. His charming smile hid disturbing secrets. In 1978, someone bludgeoned Crane to death in an Arizona apartment. The police found something strange during their investigation. His apartment contained cameras, video equipment, and countless homemade sex tapes. Crane had recorded himself with hundreds of women. He used his fame to seduce fans. Then he filmed these encounters without permission. He showed these tapes to friends. He bragged about his conquests. His friend John Carpenter helped him set up the equipment. Police suspected Carpenter killed Crane when their friendship soured. They found blood in Carpenter's car, but DNA testing didn't exist yet. The jury acquitted Carpenter due to lack of evidence. The murder remains officially unsolved. Crane's secret life shocked America. The beloved TV colonel was a sex addict. He used his fame to feed his obsession. His addiction may have led to his murder. Anthony Perkins, behind the psycho mask. Anthony Perkins terrified audiences as Norman Bates in Psycho. The role followed him forever. He became known for playing disturbed characters. His own life held secrets just as complex. Perkins lived as a closeted gay man. Hollywood forced him to hide his sexuality. The pressure damaged his mental health. He underwent therapy to cure his homosexuality. He eventually married a woman and had children. In 1990, Perkins received devastating news. He had AIDS. He kept his diagnosis secret for 2 years. He feared the stigma would destroy his career. He used fake names in hospitals. He hid his treatments from friends. Only after he died in 1992 did his wife release a statement. She revealed his battle with AIDS. She explained he kept it private to protect his family. His son later described how his father suffered in silence. Perkins' final film was titled A Demon in My View. The name seemed fitting. He battled personal demons his entire life. His most frightening role wasn't Norman Bates. It was pretending to be someone else every day. Rock Hudson, Hollywood's forced lie. Rock Hudson embodied masculine perfection. Women wanted him, men wanted to be him. His handsome face sold millions of movie tickets. His image made him a Hollywood legend. Behind this perfect image lived a gay man. Studios forced him to hide his sexuality. They arranged fake dates with women. They created false romances for magazines. His agent even arranged a sham marriage to his secretary. In 1985, Hudson became the first major celebrity to die of AIDS. His diagnosis shocked the world. Many Americans first learned about AIDS through Hudson's death. His friend and co-star Elizabeth Taylor revealed the truth after he died. Hudson lived in constant fear of exposure. He couldn't love openly. He couldn't be himself in public. The strain affected his happiness his entire life. Hudson's death changed America's view of AIDS. His fame put a familiar face on the epidemic. His friend Elizabeth Taylor became an AIDS activist. She raised millions for research. Hudson's tragedy ultimately saved many lives. David Cassidy's final confession. David Cassidy made teenage girls scream as Keith Partridge. His posters hung on bedroom walls across America. He seemed like the perfect heartthrob. In his final years, Cassidy told fans he had dementia. He forgot the lyrics on stage. He stumbled during performances. He blamed his declining health on the same disease that killed his mother. After he died in 2017, the truth emerged. Cassidy had lied about dementia. His real problem was alcoholism. He had been drinking himself to death for years. In his final days, Cassidy confessed to producers working on a documentary about his life. "I have a liver disease," he admitted. "There is no sign of me having dementia. I lied about my drinking." His final words revealed his shame. He wanted fans to think illness took his talent. He couldn't admit that alcohol destroyed his life. His last act was creating a false narrative about his decline. Robin Williams, the misdiagnosed genius. Robin Williams made the world laugh for decades. His rapid-fire comedy seemed superhuman. His dramatic roles showed surprising depth. His suicide in 2014 stunned his fans. Initial reports blamed depression. People thought fame and pressure became too much. The truth was more complicated. After his death, doctors discovered Williams had Lewy body dementia. This rare brain disease causes hallucinations, confusion, and paranoia. Williams knew something was wrong. Doctors had misdiagnosed him with Parkinson's disease. His widow Susan later described his final months. Williams experienced tremors, anxiety, and memory problems. He couldn't remember his lines. His brilliant mind was failing him. He knew he was losing himself. The disease explained his sudden decline. It wasn't just depression that drove him to suicide. It was the terror of losing his identity. The man who could think faster than anyone was watching his mind disappear. Heath Ledger, consumed by the Joker. Heath Ledger transformed into the Joker for The Dark Knight. His performance terrified audiences. It earned him a posthumous Oscar. It also consumed his life. Ledger died from an accidental overdose in 2008. He mixed prescription medications. The combination stopped his breathing. He was only 28 years old. After his death, people learned about his preparation for the Joker role. He locked himself in a hotel room for weeks. He kept a disturbing journal. He barely slept. He pushed his mental health to breaking point. Friends reported he couldn't stop being the Joker. The character haunted his dreams. He took sleeping pills to escape. Then he took stimulants to function during the day. This dangerous cycle ultimately killed him. Ledger's father revealed the truth about the journal. The last page contained the words, "Bye-bye," written in large letters. The role that made him a legend may have driven him toward death. Matthew Perry, the friend who suffered alone. Matthew Perry made millions laugh as Chandler Bing on Friends. His sarcastic humor defined a generation. His timing seemed effortless. Behind his jokes lived a man in constant pain. Perry died in 2023 at age 54. The autopsy revealed ketamine in his system. The full investigation showed decades of addiction worse than anyone had imagined. The extent shocked even those who knew about his problems. After his death, friends revealed Perry spent over $9 million trying to get sober. He underwent 65 detox treatments. He had 14 stomach surgeries from drug damage. He nearly died multiple times before his final overdose. His memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, gave glimpses of his struggle. The complete picture emerged only after he died. Perry spent every day of Friends filming either high or hungover, or drunk or detoxing, or all combined. Perry's driver revealed he visited multiple doctors daily during the height of his addiction. He received prescriptions from 15 different physicians. He paid cash to avoid detection. He consumed 50 Vicodin pills every day for years. His co-stars didn't know the full extent of his suffering. Jennifer Aniston confronted him once about alcohol on set. His response was deflection and promises to improve. He hid his pain with jokes. He built walls with humor. Former girlfriends spoke about his isolation. He pushed people away when they got too close. He feared they would discover how broken he felt inside. He sabotaged relationships when they threatened his addiction. Perry established sober living homes to help others. He spent millions supporting other addicts. He frequently took strangers to rehab. He paid for treatments for people he barely knew. His generosity contradicted his self-destructive behaviors. His assistant found dozens of journals after his death. These writings revealed constant physical pain. Perry lived with chronic pancreatitis. His digestive system never fully recovered from years of abuse. He existed in constant agony. The man who made America laugh was crying inside. His addiction consumed everything, including his life. His story wasn't just about fame's dark side. It was about the human struggle against pain, both physical and emotional. Natalie Wood's unsolved tragedy. Natalie Wood captivated audiences from childhood. Her performance in Miracle on 34th Street made her a star at 8. Her adult roles in Rebel Without a Cause and West Side Story showcased her dramatic talent. Her beauty and skill made her an enduring icon. Wood's death shocked Hollywood in 1981. She drowned near Santa Catalina Island while boating with her husband Robert Wagner and friend Christopher Walken. The official ruling called it an accidental drowning. The case seemed straightforward at first. Questions emerged immediately about the circumstances. Wood had a lifelong fear of dark water. She never would have left the yacht alone at night. She had been drinking with Wagner and Walken. Arguments occurred throughout the evening. The boat captain Dennis Davern remained silent for years. After Wagner's autobiography contained inconsistencies, Davern spoke out. He described hearing Wood and Wagner arguing fiercely. He reported Wagner's jealousy over Wood's relationship with Walken. Davern's later testimony claimed Wagner prevented immediate search efforts. Wagner allegedly said, "Let's not call anyone right now," when Wood disappeared. Crucial hours passed before authorities were notified. These delays may have cost Wood her life. Wood's sister Lana campaigned for decades to reopen the investigation. Her efforts succeeded in 2011. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department changed Wood's cause of death from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. In 2018, investigators named Robert Wagner a person of interest. They cited his changing stories about that night. They noted fresh bruises on Wood's body inconsistent with drowning. They questioned the delay in reporting her missing. Medical examinations revealed Wood had bruises on her wrists, knees, and ankles. These injuries suggested a struggle before entering the water. The autopsy found scratches on her face consistent with someone trying to climb back onto a boat. Wood's daughter Natasha has defended Wagner. She believes her mother's death was a tragic accident. She resents the continued investigation. She wants her mother remembered for her life rather than her mysterious death. The case remains officially unsolved. The three people who know what happened that night tell different stories. Walken rarely speaks about it. Wagner maintains his innocence. Davern claims knowledge of foul play. The truth may have drowned with Natalie Wood. Marilyn Monroe's mysterious end. Marilyn Monroe became the definitive Hollywood sex symbol. Her beauty captivated audiences worldwide. Her talent showed in films like Some Like It Hot. Her tragic death at 36 created an eternal icon frozen in youth. The official ruling called her death probable suicide. Police found empty pill bottles beside her bed. Her brief calls to friends that night seemed melancholy. The case closed quickly despite inconsistencies in the evidence. After her death, new information emerged about her complicated relationships with powerful men. Her affairs with President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy became public knowledge. These connections added sinister dimensions to her death. Witness statements released decades later contradicted the original timeline. Her housekeeper changed her story multiple times. Neighbors reported seeing unknown men at her house the night she died. An ambulance arrived before police were called. Monroe's phone records from her final day disappeared. Her diary vanished from her home. Her therapist reported missing notes from their final sessions. Someone systematically removed evidence from the scene. The autopsy found no pills in her stomach, despite the supposed method of suicide. The toxicology report showed extremely high levels of barbiturates in her blood. Experts later questioned how she could have taken pills without leaving traces in her digestive system. FBI files declassified years after her death revealed extensive surveillance of Monroe. The agency monitored her contacts with suspected communists. They recorded her conversations with foreign diplomats. They tracked her movements in her final months. Former CIA operatives made deathbed confessions about Monroe's death. Several claimed involvement in operations to silence her. They described plans to stage a suicide to protect political figures. They provided details only insiders would know. Monroe allegedly threatened to reveal government secrets. She kept a red diary documenting conversations with the Kennedys. She planned a press conference the week of her death. She told friends she would shock the world with revelations. Her death became the perfect Hollywood mystery. Beautiful women, powerful men, sex, politics, and secrets combined into an irresistible conspiracy. The full truth remains buried with Marilyn. Her final scene may never be fully understood. It's wild to think how much was hidden behind the smiles, the muscles, and the blockbuster roles, right? If these walls could talk, imagine what other secrets might still be buried deep in Hollywood's golden past. Which action icon's hidden truth shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're hungry for even more untold stories, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around. The real Hollywood is way crazier than anything you've seen on screen, and we're just getting started.